This video will show you a few simple editing techniques in Photoshop, demonstrating blending modes, gradient maps and masks. For raw file editing, please watch the video on Lightroom. Now we're going to look at this robin and start with blending modes. This is a non-destructive way of controlling editing in Photoshop, and it will save you quite a lot of time if you get used to using them. The first thing we're going to do is right mouse click and duplicate layer. Press OK, and just above here you can see the word normal. If you click in there and with the down arrow just go through all the different settings and you can see what's happening. Okay, and we go all the way down and there's some quite cool effects. What I'm going to do is settle on soft light. Soft light is a really good way of adding contrast without distorting the colours too much. This is still a little strong, so if we come up to opacity, and I'm going to type in 50, and you can see that that's less than the effect. I think 33% is better. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. We just turned the eye off. That's what it's like before, and now just that little bit of contrast helps. The next image is with the tree, and we're going to turn this black and white using gradient maps. This is a really easy technique to use. And again, it's non-destructive, which means we can control various elements without ruining the picture. First of all, we'll click down here with this black and white circle and click on the arrow, and you can see gradient map at the bottom. If you select that, it comes up with the default colors, which are black and white, and you can see we've instantly made a fairly good black and white. Now I want a bit more emphasis on the tree here, and we want to bring that sky down a little bit. So what we can do is double click at the top here and we can see we've got this color bar at the bottom. If I pull the black in, it makes everything go much darker. If this is 0, no light at all, and this is about 33%, it's made everything in the bottom grey black. We'll do the same to the highlights and just watch. The sky will go white. Now this is quite a stark look. If you want to use it, that's absolutely fine. I quite like that effect on the tree, so this is something I'm going to look for later. Just pull those back. Similarly, if you drag this little diamond in the middle, pull it to the left, makes everything lighter. Pull it to the right, makes everything darker. And you can see this color bar here has changed. I'm going to bring that back to 50% again. Right, because I quite like that setup at the moment, I'm now going to duplicate this layer. So right mouse click, duplicate layer. This time we're going to add far more contrast into this area. So let's double click and we're going to pull that down and we're going to push the blacks up. All right, I quite like that on the tree now, but it's ruined the background. So what I'm going to do is mask out that area, and I want to select just the tree and nothing else. So if we go up to the top on the left is the W key and the selection tool. We're going to use object selection tool. This will give us crosshairs and we can drag across the top of the tree and we can see it starts selecting areas for us. If you want to repeat this, press shift and keep drawing. There we go. Now to get the rest of the tree, go back up to the selection tool and go to quick selection. And you end up with a circle with a crosshair in the middle. If you want to make it larger, look next to the return key. You should have 2 square brackets. If you click on those, it will make it larger. If you click on the left one, it will make it smaller. Let's click on the right. There we go. Because the plus is selected up here, it's going to add to it. If we select minus, you can see we take away. So let's keep that on plus, and I just want to get the bottom here. Right, now we've gone too far, so we'll go to minus, bring the size of that down. There we go, and get the grass. Just a little bit in here. To make sure I've got this selected properly, I'm going to use the refine edge tool. And we get the same circle come up, and all I need to do is draw around the edge of the tree, and you can see this red mask has appeared, showing us what we have got and what we don't have selected, and there are a few white areas around the edge. So I'm just going to draw on the outline, and you can see when I let go that it picks up all of the details that we're missing. A few bits more on here. Actually the rest of that's gone there. Okay, we should grab these last bits at the top. Okay, let's press enter. And we'll go up to our gradient map at the top, and this is the one that's got all the contrast in it. What we're going to do is to invert the mask, right mouse click, select inverse. Now that's selected everything outside of the tree. On here, we'll press delete or backspace and deselect mask. Now you can see that we've added contrast just into that area alone. This particular gradient map, I'm going to adjust. So click on the black and white circles, brings that up there. Just going to bring that in a bit, just to bring that sky down. And just a tiny bit of contrast. That contrast really helps that tree stand out, so it is worth playing around with these masks. What you'll notice is that where this mask is white, the effect shows through, and where the mask is black, i.e. on the sky and the floor, it doesn't. So we can invert that. Now the background is nice and bright and contrasty, the tree's gone flat, and you can see the mask is now inverted. Put that back to the way it was. Okay, and we're going to leave that. With this church, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to straighten it up because it looks like it's leaning away from us. We're going to warm it up because it feels a little blue. And we're going to add some colour filters over the top to give it a bit of a grade. So the first thing we're going to do is duplicate the layer. Press OK. I'm going to zoom out so I can see it a bit more. If you go to edit at the top and come down, you've got free transform. You can see the different points on this transform tool in the corners. If we grab one, it makes it bigger by dragging it out. Let's undo that. In fact, whichever one we grab and drag out, it will make it bigger. We can also move this anchor point to the bottom so that if we now drag it out, it only comes out from that point, and the same over here. Okay, let's undo. This is quite a useful tool for correcting verticals and altering the shape and size of your image. So what I'm going to do first of all is drag out this top left. If you hold down Command on a Mac or Control on a PC, as you drag out, it's only that corner that drags, and you can see the building is just starting to straighten up on that left-hand side. That now feels a bit wonky that way, so we're going to drag the top right, keeping Command or Control pressed down. That looks fairly good to me. The only thing I noticed is the church feels a bit squashed, so keeping this pressed down, I'm going to raise the top. Right, that's pretty good. Because I like that, I'm going to flatten that down, right mouse click, scroll all the way down, and merge down. So that's our church. There's the previous one. That's a much better shape now. The next thing we're going to do is darken this sky down, and we're going to create a mask to do that. We don't need to jump up a layer. We can come down to this black and white circle, click on the arrow, and we should see something called levels. Yep, we'll go for that. So in here, I'm going to darken the gamma, which is exposure. You can see the sky coming down, and this is the whites. So we'll pull those down, and we're starting to just ruin the sky a little bit. So I'm going to bring that back. There we go. Just turn that off. That's darkened our sky. It's also darkened the building, but that's fine. We're going to select the sky only, come down to background, and go up to quick selection tool, and just draw where the sky is. And you can see it selects it pretty well. Again, we're going to use Refine Edge tool. Make this a bit larger. And I'm just going to paste all around the trees. There we go. And as you keep painting over the trees, you can see the branches all go red. That means it's going to mask out the trees and keep the sky for us. There's just a few bits missing here, so we're going to paint over those branches until it stretches across. We can see them going red. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Press OK. Going to make this full size. Click on levels. We press delete and invert. There we go. That's just made the sky darker. Right, the next thing we're going to look at is this area here. I want to keep that slightly bright and a bit more contrasty, and I want to darken down the edge of the whole scene. So we'll create another mask. Let's go to levels again. This time we're going to add contrast in. So where it says 255, let's bring that down to 245. Let's take our gamma up to 1.1, and we'll bring the shadow detail up to 15. Again, this has applied it to the whole scene. I just want it in that area alone. So if we click on our levels mask and invert it, Command I or Control I, that's got rid of it. So we just want this area left alone. What we're now going to do is paint in some white. This will allow the levels mask layer to show through. And to do that, click on brush. And we're going to make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to leave the brush at 100%. and we will paste about here. There we go. I'm going to select 50%, and we're just going to paste on the bottom here a bit, just to show you the difference. There we go. So I quite like that now. That's got a nice contrast to it. It's a little bit darker on the edges. It's brighter in the middle. The only thing I'd say is it's just a touch too bright. So I'm going to reverse the color here, make it black, and just paste down there. There we go. Now this image looks a little bit too blue to me. So we're going to create another levels layer. This time it'll apply to the whole scene. And we'll go up to the top where it says RGB and click on blue. The opposite of blue is yellow, so we're going to minus the gamma down, and you can see it's already added a little warmth to the image. And we might just add a touch of red. There, I like that. That's nice and warm now. Now there's a couple of things that we can do to give this a bit more of a grade, and one of them is to use gradient maps. And what they do is put color tone into the dark and light areas of an image without having to select anything. So if we click on the black and white circle again, and you can see gradient map. Now previously we had this as black and white. What we're going to do this time is make this yellow and blue. What you'll notice is that these blue areas have gone into everywhere that was a shadow, and the yellow has gone into everywhere that was a highlight. Now to reduce this down, we just need to select the opacity, and I'm going to select 20%. Doesn't seem like much until I turn it off, and it's just enough of a grade. It gives it a bit of a vintage look. It's not quite cross-processed, but does age it a tiny bit. Now I'd like to add a little bit more contrast in here, so I'm going to duplicate this. Second layer, press OK, and we're going to select soft light, which just adds a tiny bit of contrast in. And there we are. Let's go back to our previous image, the black and white tree, and we're going to bring in that yellow and blue gradient map again. So let's add gradient map, double click in here, and we'll select blue, yellow, press OK. Now this is quite an arty look. It's a bit strong, but it could work, you know, if you want to do a poster, if you want to change your images around. Again, I think this is too much, so I'm going to select opacity. 20% is not enough. Because this is non-destructive, I can go in here and I can change any of these colors. Green doesn't really work. Maybe not. And we can change the strength of them. Press OK. We can go in for yellow. We can make this green. That definitely doesn't work. Blue. I can even add another color in. If you come down to the color bar and you've got a little hand, click on there, select that color, and let's make this green. Now we've got a bit of a range of colors from purple through to blue. If we just pull them in, we can actually add black and white back in. This gives us our contrast range. So it means anything that is actually black will remain black. Anything that's white will remain white. And with that, we get a bit more of a balanced image. The colors are horrendous, so I'm going to cancel back out. I quite like this as a look. It could be a bit strong, so you can use it in a more subtle way. Also, another way of adding color in, come down to the black and white circle and go up to solid color. At the moment we've got black selected, so it's completely changed everything. If we put red on and come back up to our blending modes and come down to multiply, you've now essentially got black and red. They are the only colors that are there. We can take that percentage down to 50%. There's a bit more of a pink. You can see that you can add quite a lot of different colors in, and we can keep changing all these blending modes. That's quite a nice look. Lighten the screen, overlay. And then when we come down to difference, it starts to make opposite colors. So we're going to put that back up to 100% again. They're quite strong at that point. Exclusion. We're going to go back to the robin now and apply a few of these techniques on here, plus add a bit of text. So let's first of all apply this blue and yellow as a slightly muted color. Click on gradient map, come back up to here. These colors have already saved, but you can save your own or just adjust it each time. Let's press OK. And we're going to set the opacity to 20%. Now I quite like that. It's just balanced that up. It's made it warmer. The robin still looks orange and brown. Turn that off. And that's a much more balanced picture. And actually I prefer it. The next thing we're going to do is add in a color fill. So we go up to solid color and we'll pick blue. We'll go up to the blending modes and just go through. Let's see what we come up with. Ooh, that's a bit strong. That's a little bit too strong for me, so if we double click in the colour again, we can alter it. Because it's non-destructive, we can choose whatever colour we like. So we're going to put in some text and make this a blending mode so that we can see bits of the robin come through. The first thing to do is select text and type in robin. I've got this set to 400 because it should just fit on this picture. R-B-I-N. Okay, click on the tick. There we go. We can now move this around. If you go up to the move tool, which is V, and put this in a position that's going to work. And we can select solid color again, and let's go for a light blue. There we go. Because this mask is white, it means everything's covered in blue. We only want the robin to be blue, and to do this, press Option, and you can see the little down arrow. What that will do is only select the layer below. So at the moment, we've just got the text. We can pick that up and move that wherever we want, but I quite like it there. And this is non-destructive, so we can change that text color later. Now I want to change the mask layer. We can now go in and change the color of this. Green, pink, red. Let's go for a red color. Maybe like a robin redbreast color. There we go. And that's it. Now enjoy playing around with layers and masks in Photoshop.